it's just this thing of, it's so emotions based, and somebody that I'm sure we all respect greatly, Dennis Prager, talks a lot about that of being ruled by your emotions, and that's what leads you to make commercials like the one Kevin Spacey and Harrison Ford. I love the Harrison Ford one in particular, where he's the ocean, and it's just this growling, menacing voice of he doesn't care about humans, and take it or leave it. I don't care if they're here. I'm more important. And you're like, you're H2O, you're molecules. So you're not more important than I am.
Right.
Hey, listen, you guys, by the way, I would like to welcome myself back. There was a power surge, and I momentarily lost connection. But RJ, what you're saying is exactly true, man. I mean, listen, emotion is the foundation of liberalism. And, whether it's Ferguson and, the recent stories, I mean, not necessarily recent, but, it doesn't matter, they say, if Mike Gentle Giant Brown had his hands in the air saying don't shoot or whatever. It's a story that can further the cause, or the event can further the cause. Same thing is true with global warming. Regardless of study after study, be it ex-NASA scientists, be it even the UN's own report over a year ago, the facts don't matter. They don't pay attention, because when it doesn't fit the narrative, it's irrelevant, man.
Well, think about the BP oil spill, keeping it in the nature environmentalist realm. That was obviously a terrible thing and a tragedy that it happened, and all of that. I mean, nobody wishes that. But now the reports from that area are that things are even cleaner than they were before, and that the ocean has washed away almost all of that stuff. And again, it doesn't justify, it doesn't mean we should be reckless, any of those sorts of things, but just the idea that nature is bigger and more important, and that all we do is ruin everything. I don't know. I mean, again, there are legitimate claims. There's legitimate points to be brought up. Whatever the issue is, there's always a kernel of truth on the left when they protest something or they really get their emotions charged up. The problem is that's the only thing they have, and that's the only thing they rely on.
And horror of horrors to the left, what you just said about the Gulf spill, Rush Limbaugh called that early on. The evil Rush Limbaugh predicted that the Gulf and nature, as you just said, would take care of itself, and it did, and he was right.
Yeah, and so it's difficult, especially living here in Los Angeles. There's a lot of great people, a lot of well-meaning people, even folks at my church who sort of buy into the hardcore environmentalism, or at least down that path. And I don't know. I just think there are absolutely conversations to be had. There's measures to be taken. I always think, growing up in the Midwest, my dad and all of his friends and uncles, and hunting and fishing and all these things that environmentalists hate. And every study done on the subject in the last 20 years, and I've looked at many of them, the best, the most conservation-friendly people in the world are hunters, and people that hunt, people that fish, people that are actually out utilizing and enjoying nature, and then they want to take care of it more. So this idea that we're just not supposed to do anything, you can't take your dogs to the beach, the cows are farting too much, whatever it is, it's hysteria, and it gives everybody wants to believe in somebody. Everyone wants to believe in something, I should say. Everybody wants a cause to fight for, and this is an easy one. Who's against nature? That's what I always wonder. Like the pro-nature, like, none of us are against nature, so now you've set it up as you're either, as one of you guys mentioned before, you're either fully with us or you hate, raccoons and trees and grass. I mean,
and the planet. You hate the planet and the oceans and the forests, and you hate everything if you don't buy into the leftist narrative.
Absolutely, and it's frustrating and it's sad, and to see the best and brightest stars, or at least some of them. I don't know what Penelope Cruz would be considered in terms of talent, but to see these people utilizing their platform only for that. I would love to just see one ad talking about human life that needs to be saved, instead of it's always Leo DiCaprio with the Bengal tigers or whatever it might be.
I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I choose to follow on the edge of my seat the words of the world-renowned climatologist Bette Midler when it comes to this kind of thing.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, Julia Roberts made Eat, Love, Pray. She understands the world, and we should listen to her.
All right. You know what, man? I can tell, Mike, that we could probably roll with RJ for a couple of hours. And that laughter, I'm going to pivot from this actually fairly serious topic that we were on. RJ wrote another column with some extremely good advice. Given this time of year, given the wide variety of parties and galas and social functions that we're going to be going to, you've got some pretty good advice. This came up, I don't know, it was probably maybe 2 weeks ago now that you wrote it. But I think especially that we've got, a week or so for Christmas and then New Year's after that. Why don't you put yourself in a position to give us some advice for Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, Krampus, Festivus parties?
Festivus, yes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, I am somebody who I love tradition, I love parties, I love holiday time. As most people do, I get into it, I enjoy it. But the reason, what spurred this article on is I often get criticized by people who I'm related to by marriage. Namely my wife and others.
No,
don't bring Whitney into it, man.
Well, no, the criticism is this, that there reaches a point in any party or any event that we go to, and this even happens sometimes at our own events that my company produces. There just reaches a time in the evening where my brain, something says it's time to go home, and I just for the rest of that time, whatever the interval is between when that thought happens and I leave, I'm a nervous, not in a bad way, but just I'm ready to go. I want to go home. I want to relax. I want to watch the hockey game, whatever it is. There's just something that clicks in my head. And I know around holiday times, it gets stressful because there's a ton of parties. There's a lot of pressure with family and relatives and coworkers and friends from church or whatever your community groups and things are. And so I just wrote a little piece talking about this, partially to explain my rationale of what's called the Irish goodbye. Now, the Irish goodbye traditionally has been something where somebody sneaks away from a party early, usually because they've had too much to drink and they don't want anybody to take the keys away from them, or they want to go on to the next party. What I'm talking about more specifically is what I alluded to just now of you get to a party and you reach a point where you go, I'm done here. It's got nothing to do probably with the people. Most of the time for me, it's not where I'm looking around saying, who are these losers I'm hanging out with? It's not that mentality. It's just something where you go, this party has run its course. My time here has run its course, and I'm ready to leave. And so I talk a little bit about that in the piece of really, the motivation. People take that so personally. Everyone wants that you have to make some, the trumpets have to play, and you have to bring down a scroll and read a list of goodbyes before you have to go every time. And sometimes you just want to go. Sometimes you just want to head home, or you got another party to go to. But everyone guilts you into, oh, why didn't you say goodbye, or why are you leaving? And it becomes a whole thing. So oftentimes I just like to sneak away. Now, I'm not justifying this and saying it's always right. And I talk about that in the article of you should, a piece of advice, make sure you go up to the host of the party and say thank you for coming here. And I see this a lot, especially with, hanging out with younger people here in Los Angeles, where people just kind of float and come to a party by osmosis and then leave, and you never see them or hear anything from them. So absolutely make sure to welcome or say thank you to the host. Make sure that the people that put that party on know that you were there and that you enjoyed yourselves. But there's some other things, too, that I've picked up living in Los Angeles and being surrounded by a lot of, younger single people. Never show up empty-handed to a party. So many folks come to something and don't have anything with them, or they'll steal a $5 bottle of wine from their roommate's cupboard or whatever in the kitchen. Bring something. I'm from the Midwest. I'm from a big family of Scandinavian descent. Everywhere we went, my mom had a pie. Sometimes I didn't even know where it came from. There'd just be an apple pie would appear as we walked into a friend's, neighbor's house for a party. Bring something. Show that you're putting some effort into it. I also, a couple other quick points. One is, don't be a social butterfly the entire time. It's always good to go around and say hi to everybody, but I'm a big proponent of say hi, make your welcomes when you get to a party, but then find somebody and have an interesting conversation. Invest a little time. Sit down and chat and relax. That's much more my style than just bouncing around, having the same, 4-question conversation with 50 different people. And by the end of the night, you want to blow your brains out. Sit down, get to know somebody, dig into it a little bit. And the last thing I'll say, there's a few others, but I'll just give one more. This is a little bit more perhaps Christian related. This happens a lot in Christian circles where you go to a party and people feel like they have to play some sort of icebreaker game, like we're in junior high youth group again. And I hate that. I hate icebreaker games more than anything. I hate it as much as Harrison Ford hates me for not being pro Gaia. No games, just let people enjoy themselves. If you're going to do a white elephant gift or something, absolutely, by all means, that's fine. But don't put people on the spot. People want to come, they want to hang out, have a drink, have some food, say hello to folks. But I just hate all the pressure that people sometimes put onto a party, like it's got to be this thing, or because I envisioned it this way. And then if you don't want to participate in it, everyone starts booing you. And I love the holidays. It's a great time. But there's just a few of these things that rub me the wrong way, and I see a lot, and that's why I wrote the piece.
You know what?
Right.
What also happens is, and I don't know, RJ, maybe you've been there. I think, well, certainly my wife is like this. But you can't wait to leave, but you don't want to be the first to leave, right? You're talking to each other and you're going, oh, we can't be the first to leave. But as soon as one couple or whomever leaves, then it's Katie bar the door, right?
Absolutely. And it gets more, I have noticed does get more complicated when you get married, because your wife has obviously a different timetable of what she's thinking. And so then it begin the hushed negotiations where you have to lean over and whisper and be like, I'll do the dishes for a week if we can leave in 5 minutes. You got to start to plan things out.
You're what, a little over 2 years now, RJ?
We got married July 14th, 2013, so about a year and a half.
Hey, dude, real quick, you said twice you're from the Midwest. I am in the Midwest. Where are you from? You said Scandinavian, like Minnesota or what?
I was born in Minneapolis, but I've spent almost all of my 30 years on this planet in Chicago until moving to LA a couple of years ago.
There we go. I could tell.
Yeah, and it's the Midwest.
That was a compliment, by the way.
I miss some of those traditions.
Oh, no, I know. My brother lives in Minneapolis, man. I was just
but dude grew up in Chicago, too. So listen, Minneapolis, not your traditional Midwest city. Chicago, yes.
Yeah, and my dad's side of the family, they're all from Minnesota. It's a big family, a lot of relatives. Parties and gatherings are very important. And Chicago is very similar, and there's a lot of people that have that sensibility. LA is just very different, where there's 100 things going on. People can be, surfing. They can be up in the mountains. They can be hiking. There's all the entertainment stuff. And so to get people together for a party can be difficult. I've just found, man, there are so many flakes out there. And when you get something planned in a party together, and so coming from the other side of when it's your party that you're planning, that's why I do try to keep that in mind. It could be so frustrating to you're like, all I'm trying to do is get some friends together to have a good time. And I feel like I'm, auditing them.
Right. Oh, gosh, that's hilarious. All right, man. Hey, look, we've got like 60 seconds. We didn't even get to talk about hashtag production. So take 60 seconds. Tell us about hashtag. Tell us where to find you, and then I got to close us out.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you for bringing that up. So hashtag Productions, it's my company. I started it about a year and a half ago, and we specialize on live events, mostly at churches and universities around the country. We bring together what we believe are interesting conversations, interesting pairings of people. It all started with our first tour with Dennis Prager and Adam Carolla that we helped put together a couple of years ago. But this spring we have a great slate of events. They're going to feature prominent athletes and coaches, people who are men and women of faith. And we're going to be bringing them together with ESPN's Chris Broussard, who's an analyst and columnist for them. We're going to be going to about 10 different cities. You can check us out at #pros on Twitter, #pros.com is the website. We're on Facebook. But yeah, hashtag Productions. We're doing a lot more in the entertainment side of things and trying to bring together people who share our values and influence, especially younger folks, with conversations that we think they need to hear and be a part of.
All right. Well, that's awesome. I know I've been to a handful of your events, and they are obviously and always well done and first class. Look, RJ, thank you so much for coming on and rocking with us for 25 minutes. And good luck tomorrow figuring out if you're going to continue being Eleanor Roosevelt identified or not, okay?
I love that.
Thank you. Yes, absolutely. Thank you, guys. It was a blast.
All right. Thanks. We're done.
Thanks a lot,
this
man.
is The Right Mics. Bye now.
This is Vigilant Liberty Radio News from